Hello, dear friends. It is Season 2. Season 2 has been upon us for, I think, a little over a week now, but we have plenty of time. You can see 52 days remaining. Wanted to make a quick video talking about this, talk about the new chaos. We have a new one you can click here. It's called the Burning Life. They're the same as Season 1. There's like 11 difficulty levels, but people usually grind level 8. And the reason for that is because you can technically get a save data value. We can now get up to difficulty 15, which when it has the nightmare mode, it'll be 16. And that allows us to get decks that have 180 points, which if you want to get 4 dupes of a divine card or 3 dupes of a divine card, with the new rules, you will need 180 points to spare. So you can basically just click this over and over till you hit 15. And I won't keep clicking, but 15, and most people say don't get neglect, get anxiety. You're required at 15, you will get either neglect or anxiety or both, but neglect is really bad with this season because of how 9 works. She really wants her hue card to be used over and over, but if you can't make it to the end and it happens to discard away your hue, you're really stuck. I know myself and a couple other players have been screwed over a few times by RNG. I know I had one round where I had a really good Mika Epiphany and I was going to have my Mika deck for the season. I got to the very end, the final boss, and not one time for like 13 rounds, 14 rounds in a row until I finally died was I able to use my hue, because every time it got into my hand, it got discarded away. It's in your discard pile, and it just takes a while to get back because you don't have a great deck during the Chaos Road itself. So yeah, keep doing this until anxiety. Anxiety is someone where you cannot use the rest mode, but that's okay as long as you bring one healer is more than enough. Right now, my general grinding team is going to be 9 because everything about this season is meant for her, and then usually one healer, either Narja, who works okay, or Mika makes anything easy, and then the third character, the one I'm grinding for. So if I'm trying to get a Veronica deck or an Amir deck or a Maribel deck or whatever, that'll be that third person. But I tried running without a healer, but it's really hard with anxiety. You can really get screwed over because 9 does really well against like 80% of the fights here, but there are some fights where you have multiple mobs. If you didn't hit the AoE Epiphany on her hue and you happen to fight multiple enemy mob that are the passion type, so she doesn't have the elemental advantage, she can really struggle against that. So my personal opinion, always go for the anxiety one. I'll click a couple more times here. I won't take forever though. But yeah, so basically do 15, tier 15, so it'll be 16 when you add the chaos modes, and that gives you a deck difficulty or deck total points of 180, and you're good to go. As far as the mechanics for this set, we do now have the arena. So the arena, you go in, the fights are usually pretty easy, and at the end, you can get an upgrade to one of your pieces of gear. You can get a total of 3 of these because you can go through 2 of the tunnels / the arenas, 1 in each floor, and then you can also occasionally get one from an event. I can't remember which event it is, but sometimes an event will give you a gear, and the gear already has one of those upgrades on it. So you can have basically one for each of your the gear on a unit, and then once you defeat the level 2 boss, you can get like this God Hammer additional upgrade to those gear. Now generally I ignore those for the most part because most of them are very geared towards 9 being able to use and abuse them. They're play 2 or 3 cost cards, exhaust cards, or something like that. So if you're playing another character for funsies or just to see how they do in the season, you're probably not going to want most of those upgrades, and probably going to want that space to play a monster card or get another Divine Epiphany or something like that. But you feel free to explore however you like. The other thing is, if you haven't already, make sure that you have Meditate unlocked, and like some of the other options, you have to go back and make sure in the 0 system here, we've got kind of a reset for this season. You're going to want to go in this upgrading tab and make sure that you have some of these unlocked. Now, the first ones, if you haven't already, this identification signal duplication is really important. It turns a random card copy into a selected combatant copy, which is one of the new features for the season that they're going to be doing going forward. It makes grinding a lot easier instead of getting a random card copy where we were discarding every card that wasn't a basic card to try to make better odds for the card that we wanted. It's much easier now. It's going to be like a 3 out of 4 if you have 4 cards from a unit. So make sure you get this upgrade as soon as possible. And there's some other videos that have talked about the strats to do that. But you'll have to make sure you go and upgrade those as well. As far as the actual events here, I really like this season's new mode, the Burning Life, the new chaos, specifically because I don't think every chaos has a Divine Epiphany select in the first floor, but this one does. And so it's this Mind of the World. I'll show it on the screen. It is in the second half, so after the first checkpoint on the first floor, you can get it in any of those blue event squares. So basically, whenever I pick my path, I'm looking for a path that gives me 3 blue event squares in the second half, otherwise I'm going to be sad. And again, remember, the arena ones don't count because the arena ones are always going to be the arena. So for example, in this path, I'm going to probably take the top path, so make sure that you try to do that. And basically I'll reset after the first boss if I didn't get the Divine Epiphany that I wanted. That's my general grinding strategy, but you can leave anytime after the first checkpoint and just make sure you quit, and won't reset. You won't have to re-roll for the you won't have to re-roll for the units here. You won't have to re-roll the chaos. So just make sure you go to at least the first checkpoint. And with that, there is that new boss. A lot of people have put some cooler decks than I have. People get really creative with this. That Elemental Spirit, not too bad. We're going to be fighting that. I'm waiting for the next one. There are some medals here. I haven't unlocked most of these because I've mostly just been grinding specific epiphanies, which means you have to pick certain options in the events, and I haven't taken any of the new spore cards and stuff like that. They're not super interesting to me, and I think the spores already got nerfed because of how strong they were, so I'll have to go back and figure those out. But if you want to unlock all these medals, you can as well. And with that, aside from that, there's not going to be too much different from the last season. There was all the story if you want to read the story. I generally don't. It's not my thing, so I generally skip through it. But yeah, hope you guys are having fun, and I think that covers everything I wanted to for season 2. I will talk in another video about the changes they made. They made a lot of improvements to chaos runs that made them a little bit more consistent, a little bit less RNG, a little bit less grindy. So this is something that I can go through a bunch of modes while chatting with people on Discord or something and not feel like it's a super long slog. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Hope you guys are having fun. And with that, I will catch you in the next one.